It's Cheap Week! That's right, Cheap Week, Tuesday, January 6th, 2015. This is the Wicked Awful Gamers unnamed newscast podcast thing cast show with a lot of CCCs in it. I am Origosis, and I am feeling wavy today. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out how to do this newscast thing, and I found a format I'm going to go with, and we're going to see how things go. I cannot find any news I wanted to report on today, this week, even in the past month. There's been news, there's been interesting news I could report on that I might want to report on, but honestly, there's just nothing I want to sit down and like go, ooh, this happened. So for beta episode 2, we're going to be going towards a format where we mostly go over some computer hardware and some games, game sales, cheap games, things like that. And I want to have a theme for each week. This week, the theme is going to be cheap. Cheap stuff, not value, not the best within a certain value. That'd be kind of like a sweet spot thing, and not frugal, like inexpensive but good. This is cheap week, where it's the cheapest possible product you can get that is still of quality and will get the job done. So this is about utility, about getting that job done. Cheap week. If you consider the word cheap to be insulting, okay, I understand that. I don't. I consider the word cheap to mean that. Cheap. Very low priced. Frugal would kind of be the next step up for me. Though, again, that's a term with a lot of usages behind it. And then sweet spot, I think that's one that more people would agree on what sweet spot is. But again, it's a term that could have a lot of connotations involved. And then after that would be something like enthusiast week. So this week, it's all cheap stuff. The lowest of the low of the low. And our first cheap thing, Tuesday, I want to do GPUs. Let's wave on over there. And that is going to be a GPU. So if I had recorded an episode Monday, I'd give you a cheap CPU to buy. And Tuesday, I'll do a cheap GPU. And then, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll have more pieces of the build, leading to a final build on Friday where we'll go over the entire build and talk about possible performance for that build. Anyways, that's only one piece of the show. There'll be other pieces involved. But yes, here it is. The GeForce GT 730. This is Tom's Hardware recommended buy for the most inexpensive video card to get. They wouldn't recommend anything cheaper than this for their reasons. And I agree with them. If you want to play video games, you just want to build a nice, inexpensive system, and it can run games. It'll run games. It'll run everything from League of Legends all the way up. Granted, some of the newest stuff might have trouble running. Granted, in a month to a year, there could be new games that come out that it can barely run. But most likely, this is going to handle a lot of stuff at medium or low settings. Granted, again, this is about utility. You can get a system built, get this into an existing system that can't play the current games, get this into a new system you're working on, and you just want a cheap video card so you can game occasionally. Whatever your reasons are, that you're not looking to max stuff out, that you're not looking to get the best of the best, that you don't even want the sweet spot. Whatever your reasons are, this is probably as cheap as you want to go. Unless you're web browsing. If you're web browsing, use the built-in video card, okay? That is truly the cheapest. And that built-in video card in a lot of systems these days will get a lot of gaming done. But I can't just always say, yeah, get this built-in video card, because the built-in video card comes with your processor, so it's kind of hard to recommend a standalone. They're not standalone, so I can't do that. So this is where this would normally actually be a frugal product, honestly. But again, a true cheap product is the built-in video card that comes on your processor or on the motherboard. I don't even think that happens anymore these days. AMD and Intel both have the built-in video cards. They're both very good for getting some low-end gaming done, especially if you're into League of Legends and Dota 2. Those are both very efficient engines. I think League of Legends a bit more so, but that's because that came out 4 or 5 years prior to Dota 2. Both very efficient engines, and again, the way the gameplay works is you don't need a lot of graphics power, and you can set them very low to run very efficiently. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. Yes, I'm only focusing on the EVGA here, just because it was one of the top ones that came up on Newegg. There's no reason why you have to go with EVGA over another one unless you prefer a certain brand. I believe Amazon currently has the lowest price on the GT 730. if you go over to Tom's Hardware, look at their review of GPUs. They'll have a link there, and I'll try to post one down in the comments below to the most inexpensive one at the time of this recording. Something that Tom's Hardware mentions to keep an eye on: make sure you get one that has the GDDR5 memory. So even if you find one that has more memory than this, and I don't think you will, but even if you find one that has 3 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes for some reason, you don't need it. Stay away from it. You're going to get better performance with 1 gig or 2 gig at GDDR5. I spit out 1 gig, but you probably want to just find a 2 gigabyte model at GDDR5. Anyways, yes, that is the cheap video card pick of the week. If you do not like me calling your video card cheap, remember, I don't see that word as being bad. I mean that word as being the lowest cost thing. I like that word. I like cheap stuff. I like cheap prices. Is that a better way to say it? Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to continuing the theme of cheap. We're going to go over to cheap games. And you do not get much cheaper than Bundle Stars. And they just came out with a new bundle this week, the Abstract Bundle. What's really nice about Bundle Stars is the hub bundle's going on all week. I recommend checking them out. Today, I highly recommend checking them out. These games will run on just about anything you can throw at them, so it works great on cheap systems. There might be a few games in here that might have an odd engine or some reason why it may not run on a low-end rig, but all of these should run on a pretty low-end rig. I don't see any reason why not. I'm not going to read all the games here, but I'll point out 2 big reasons. By the way, $2.49, and you get 10 Steam keys. So you'll have 10 individual Steam keys. So if you wanted to give some games to a friend or something like that, you could just grab the games you want and say, hey, buddy, here, have these games I didn't want. You know, it's free stuff. Who cares? To them, free to them. You bought it. They get it for free because you didn't want those games. Or, you know, to increase your Steam library, this is a great place to come. The 2 games that stick out really well for me here are Knights of Pen and Paper +1 edition. That game alone, I think, sells for $5 or $6 on Android. I'm not sure what the PC edition usually goes for. And Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate. Right here. This puppy, I believe, when it first came out about 4 or 5 years ago, this was like a full-blown $20 game on whatever system it was on, PS3, I believe it was on. I want to say it was $20. Maybe it was only $10. But seriously, $2.50, you get 10 games, including a game I think is well worth a full $10 price tag right now. And yeah, let's check out the system requirements here real quick. Windows XP, 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. In other words, if you have a dual core, you're good. 2 gigabytes of memory, 600 megabytes hard drive recommended space. Doesn't mean it takes up 600 megabytes on install. They just recommend you have that. Each publisher is different on how they recommend these things. But this will run on some very low-end systems. Like I said, it was on the PS3. That's currently an 8 or 9-year-old computer. Not that that translates well to PC for other reasons I won't get into. But this game should run on just about any low-end system you have. I won't say it'll run on a potato, but it will run on some pretty low-end stuff. For Mac, for PC, they just say just make sure you can support DirectX 9. On Mac, they mentioned an HD 3000 with 256 megs of video RAM, or at least shared RAM there. So what I'm saying is that it won't run on a potato, but it'll run on a pretty old system. And Knights of Pen and Paper, this should be our potato game. Yeah. 512 megs of RAM, 640 by 480 resolution. I mean, who even recommends a minimum resolution these days? 100 megabyte hard drive space install. I don't even know if the game takes up 5 megabytes or 10 megabytes. No, I really don't know how much it takes up. But anyways, yeah, there you have it. The Bundle Stars Abstract Bundle. There'll be a link in the notes below, or just go to bundlestars.com and see all their bundles. It's a great website for cheap games. And I just want to go over Steam's daily deal. And Steam's daily deal today is X-Plane 10 Global 64-bit. I don't really have any interest in these kinds of games personally, so I can't speak to this game. It's not a game I'd review. We'll go look at the system requirements real quick because that kind of stuff excites me. And see, this is why this is a beta episode, because I want to have this stuff better organized ahead of time. But again, beta. there you have it. Minimum requirements: dual core, 2.5 gigahertz or faster. Gigahertz speed is very difficult to go by. You could have something that goes slower than that, but actually runs better than the recommendation, just because that's all in the architecture. Anyways, 2 gigs of RAM. Graphics card with at least half a gig of VRAM. So minimum requirements, it'll run on a pretty low-end system. They recommend a multi-core CPU with 3 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, 2 gigabytes of onboard VRAM. I get the impression this will run on a pretty low-end gaming machine. The cheap video card I recommended here, the GT730 with 2 gigabytes of RAM, could probably handle this game pretty well. I'd have to buy the game and install it to see how well, but I would assume it's going to run darn well. If you're not sure, if you have a very low-end system, check their forums, check the Steam, and see what they have to say. It gets mixed reviews. 264 reviews have been done. 65% were positive. One of the top reviews here, guy claims he's an actual pilot, and has 932 people found his review helpful out of 1,009. So about 70 plus people disagreed and did not find his review helpful. Anyways, there's not too much detail to go into reviews. I'm not going to read their reviews or anything. There's plenty of stuff in there. Again, still trying to find out the right format to the show. That's about it for the show. I don't want to go on too long. I should have another episode posted tomorrow where I'll either recommend a good motherboard or a good case, one or the other, and then Thursday will be the other. So probably a motherboard tomorrow. Thursday I'll mention a good case, and then Friday we'll have a complete breakdown of the build and try to go over its potential performance. I can't buy these parts, so we need to do research on each part and gauge what its potential performance will be if you were to put this build together. Anyways, that is all. Thank you for watching as I get my mouse over the stop recording button, because there's not going to be any editing. This is getting recorded and it's going up. No editing, though this would be the 5th time I've recorded this episode, so I have it a bit more down, though it's still messy. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will catch you all tomorrow.